one of the funniest guys out there. And I loved having him on NFL Draftathon last week as well. His show, The Neighborhood, Season 2, currently airing Mondays on CBS at 8 Eastern Time. And you can catch not one, but 2 episodes airing back-to-back. Tonight, starring at 8 Eastern Time, he is Cedric the Entertainer. How are you, sir?
Rich Eisen, what's up, brother?
How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Everything is good, just staying corona safe at the house, and can't complain, man.
I appreciate that. Everybody happy and healthy in your world, hopefully, then.
Yeah, yes, indeed, man. Thank you, brother.
You bet, you bet. Are you watching any of this Jordan documentary?
I am, of course, man. I'm actually behind on these 2 that aired this weekend, so I have them recorded, but I will jump in. But it was so interesting. I heard you talking to Barkley earlier, and I actually was one of my most interesting moments was gambling with the both of them. I'm hanging with Charles in Vegas, and we're gambling, and then MJ walks in and grabs like a handful of Charles's chips, and Charles like, whoa, like, what are you doing, man? How much was that? And MJ looks at him and goes, does it matter? It doesn't matter. Like, I've got it, bro. Like, whatever it is, I've got it. Don't you? Wouldn't you think it?
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Of course. I mean, so was this at a blackjack table or something like that?
we were playing roulette. Charles was playing roulette. We were playing along. It was like me, Carson Daly, and myself. We were having a good time. We were playing along with Charles. And then Jordan went to play blackjack, came back probably 40 minutes later, and just handed him $150,000, $250,000 in chips, and said, "I'm up over here. I'm up over at this table." And then we all got up and left Charles and went to go and watch Michael play blackjack.
Although I would be afraid to play blackjack with him, because if you're like one of those that hits on 12 or hits on 13 and he's not, I mean, I would have to look at him and say, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do, Michael? I would never. I'm like, my God, that's pressure. Cedric.
Yeah, for sure. I played along with Charles, but I did not play in the game with Michael Jordan because the stakes were way above my pay grade at that point.
I bet. Well, so I guess the ultimate button on this story is that it ultimately did not matter how much Jordan grabbed from.
Exactly. He was like, "I got it, man," and I'm that dude. Like on the basketball court and in blackjack, I got you.
I mean, and then of course, what Jordan meant. So if we're talking about right now, I mean, you must have been talking about late '90s or something like that, right? When something like this happened.
Yeah. I mean, this was actually a little bit later. I know because we were all there for Tiger Woods. So
okay. For his golf.
It was a golf event, but we were all just kind of hanging out in Vegas. So that was one of those, great moments, for sure.
I mean, and Jordan, so are you a fan of any specific team? I know you're from Missouri originally, who are you a fan of?
The Bulls. The Bulls are my team. All my basketball, stuff that I have, jerseys, robe that I wear around the house, it has all the Bulls because from St. Louis, that was our quickest and closest professional team. So I could jump on a plane and go up to the games, and and during those eras, of course, it was the best team to go and watch. And then Chicago was an exciting city for St. Louisans to get to. We can drive there in 4 hours or fly there in 45 minutes on Southwest. So that was our kind of our Los Angeles to Vegas trip, if you will. That was our kind of experience. So.
Well, I'm telling you, Cedric. I mean, Cedric the Entertainer here on the Rich Eisen Show. Again, I'm not spoiling anything from last night. What's sitting on your DVR? Those 2 episodes from last night. I mean, they do get in at one point about what a rock concert it was in terms of trying to get tickets for the Last Dance years, or just in terms for Jordan anywhere on the road or at home, and what it meant. And how Chicagoans and people from, Chicagoland, or from what you're pointing out, St. Louis or Bulls country, how we may never see anything like that again. And I understand who LeBron is and what the Warriors have become, et cetera, but there's nothing quite like those Jordan Bulls.
No doubt. And it probably would, like you mentioned both teams, that would, like the kind of LeBron phenomenon would be the closest. And, of course, when Golden State was just in that frenzy of just winning, and, everywhere they showed up would be a circus. But nothing was like Jordan could they could pull this kind of energy anywhere in the country. Wherever he showed up, it would be the craziest night in town. Everybody's going to show up. It's going to be big. I'd liken it to Mike Tyson, the old Mike Tyson fights. Like, it was the best of the best. Everybody's going to come. You're going to put on your best. You're going to party the hardest. You're going to watch. It's going to be exciting, and that's the attitude when the MJ would show up.
Yeah, and unfortunately for many that he was competing against, just like Tyson fights, if you missed the first 2 minutes, it was over.
Exactly. You're like, man, I was still ironing my outfit and missed the whole thing. Wow.
Did I hear you say that you had a Bulls robe? Did I hear you say that?
I got a beautiful robe, man. Someone did for me with the great Bulls, embroidery on it, and it's so cool.
Nice. Okay, I like that. Cedric the Entertainer here again. The Neighborhood, currently airing Mondays on CBS, starring in part this gentleman right here on the Rich Eisen Show, and we'll get to that in a second. The original Kings of Comedy. It's interesting too. You're going to see some Spike in the Last Dance from Sunday night because of he was Mars Blackman, and we talk about Jordan's Nike commercials and how Spike was the director and so much of a creative force behind all that. What was it like with Spike for the original Kings of Comedy? You were one of the four hilarious stand-up acts that were featured in that film.
Again, Spike, I think he came on board to shoot the tour. We had been touring around the country probably several years before we decided to shoot the movie, and he saw it in New York, and again, probably like the same way that he kind of saw Jordan. He saw this as a piece of culture and a piece of like a real Americana that had to be captured and shot in a way that he could tell you this story. And I think that's the way that he did the Jordan phenomenon, but captured it in the shoes. And it was one of these things that, again, one of the biggest, catchphrases that we've ever heard in advertising. It's got to be the shoes. It's got to be the shoes. Mm-hmm. And that partnership that he had, those iconic commercials, to see little, Spike Lee so small up against Jordan, and then that this unlikely friendship between him as character Mars Blackman and MJ. I feel like it led to so many other, images, including the Geico lizard nowadays. I think that's all part of this whole starting from Mars.
So what was it like being on that tour? You and another Chicago guy, right? And Bernie Mac, right?
Bernie Mac, late Bernie Mac, man. It was the first time, so many individual comics have been out and, did large arena tours, Eddie Murphy and Dice Clay and Martin Lawrence that I can recall before us, but nobody had quite, decided to do it as four guys that show up like four of your favorites, and it kind of shows up in a rock star status. So for us, it was rock star comedy, man. We toured the country. It was great, celebrity driven. People would come up in each city. I wasn't married at first, so it was girls and everything, and then I got married, and it changed. And but it was still a good time, though.
I bet. I'm sure it was. When we mentioned it, you were you zoomed in on NFL Draftathon Live, and you were in a car, and Kevin Hart was in his home office, and he widened his shot out, and there was it was a beautiful painting of Bernie Mac. I mean, that painting was on his office wall.
Yeah, man.
Kevin Hart.
Yeah, Bernie was a legend. He was the same thing. Like for me, I would go first, and then there would be this brief intermission. And so Bernie did his show one night, and then after my intermission, he came into my dressing room and performed for my guest. Like he just, it was impromptu. Came in and did this whole other set. He did a Red Fox impersonation. Oh. It was hilarious. And he just turned around and he was like, "Mac out." And just walked out, and it was just like one of the greatest legendary moments of comedy, like, because nobody expected it, and he just came in and killed the room, and he was like that. Like, after the show, he would just kind of go do his own thing. He wasn't, an after-party, go hang out guy, so he'd do his show, be a great friend, and then he'd go off and be in the Mac world, just kind of keeping it quiet and simple.
Yeah, sure. And Steve Harvey, we had him on at the Super Bowl because he's the host of NFL Honors. Yeah. And my audio executive, Mike Del Tufo, said that Steve Harvey would remember him working with him It's kind of looked like Steve was putting on airs that he remembered Mike, just completely apropos of nothing. Cedric, if you could handicap that, do you think he actually did remember Mike, or he put on airs that he remembered Mike? What do you think?
Steve Harvey?
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably, Steve Harvey did a lot of stuff in Chicago during that time as well. So yeah, he knew exactly what was going on.
Okay, all right, very good. Just figure all that. And D.L. Hughley, that was a great time, obviously, for you and your career and how it's all built up to everything that all your success. So tell me about The Neighborhood, what you enjoyed doing this show. That's season 2 back-to-back shows tonight.
It was great, man. We were about to do a 3-show arc, and of course, the corona came in and stopped the last episode. But what's really great is that we had so much fun on the show. The show is about a white family moving into a predominantly black neighborhood. So this gentrification attitude of, how does America learn to get along with people who kind of feels that, someone doesn't belong, but now you got to be neighbors. And so the first season was one where it was hard, and I was a little gruff, and I made them kind of earn it. And then this season, you see us become friendlier, and then even closer friends as the season goes along. And yet, Dave still makes some oversteps. So, played by Max Greenfield in these last 2 episodes, he has a near-death experience by almost getting hit by a speeding car in the neighborhood. He gets everyone to sign petitions and get a speeding bond put up, and that fires him up to just be more civic than ever, and decides that now he's going to run for city council. And so I'm like, bro, that's way too soon. You just got here. Nobody's going to vote for you. But he's overzealous and goes for it. And so the first episode kind of sets that up, and then the second episode tonight, we see Dave gearing up his office and his campaign, and and trying to get me to come on and help him out and be his campaign manager. And he has to run up the cool, smooth incumbent played by Wayne Brady. So it's fun episodes, and now it kind of ends in a cliffhanger because you don't know what happens.
Sure.
With Dave. We had the third episode where you can kind of see what happens, but now you have no idea if he's going to win or not, and I think that's pretty cool.
Well, another reason why we need to get through all this real quick is to see more work from you, sir. I appreciate the call. Said you're one of my favorites, and I'm thrilled to have you on here. And anytime you just want to shoot the what, talk sports.
All right, man. I appreciate it, man. So much fun. Great show too.
Thank you.
All right, Rich, holla, man.
Right back at you. That's Cedric the Entertainer right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.